After completing the Stanley Kubrick Archives book, I still had some unfinished business. Stanley Kubrick's unmade Napoleon film. The chapter on the project in the Archives book showed only a tiny fraction of what was contained in the archives. In the late 1960s, Kubrick immersed himself in a period of intense research, amassing a huge collection of material, including about 15,000 location scouting photos and a database of nearly 17,000 Napoleonic images.
I remember we lost our dining room to that.
Yes.
All of a sudden overnight he pushed all the furniture out and put this in.
After many drafts and consultations with historical experts, he authored a screenplay himself. In 1969, when Kubrick was on the verge of beginning shooting, MGM pulled out from the project because they feared a historical epic would not do well at the box office. He was never able to obtain financing, and after a few more years of attempts to get the project back off the ground, he was forced to shelve it.
And I remember how depressed he was when MGM pulled the film.
Yeah, I was really heartbroken he was. Very sad, packing it all away.
Was Kubrick affected by a Napoleon-sized hubris in wanting to make this monumental film? What attracted him to Napoleon?
He was deeply fascinated, but it certainly grew from a boy's dream into something totally passionate. And the more he read, the more amazingly did kind of all of Europe rise in front of a young American. And he loved the love story, which is a huge fantasy of men who find themselves to become powerful and then are jilted, and the revenge.
What fascinated Stanley on Napoleon was not only this amazing personality that was so successful, but that out of this success came the self-inflicted failure.
Could he have really pulled it off, and if so, what kind of genre-changing, paradigm-shifting film would it have been? Following 2001, the most influential sci-fi movie of all time, this journey into the life and times of Napoleon would have been as much, if not more, groundbreaking and grandiose.
We didn't have a Josephine yet, but we had lots of characters. All the other characters would have been relatively easy to cast. And where do you do the big battles? That was Romania, and then lots of locations in France. We were so ready. We were ready to go to Romania to do first Italian campaign and the Russian campaign with the Romanian cavalry. And we had the paper costumes already designed and in place mentally, how it would be done for the background, and many, many, many things. I like the subtitle, The Greatest Movie Never Made. Now, I'm convinced it would have been one of the greatest films ever made.
With this in mind, I had to set out to somehow convey all of this in the form of a book, a very challenging task. I asked the French design team MM Paris to come up with a concept.
I think it was an impossible project, somehow. And I think most of the time when we work on projects, we like the idea of impossible projects. It's very difficult to put a movie inside a book. And the idea is that think or build or conceive a kind of glory hole, you know? Like a kind of a mysterious hole, and within you could put like as many books as possible. Do a book, and within the book, there will be other books that are hidden. So first of all, you have all the text, so that gives you a kind of I would say, a conceptual vision of the whole project.
So after years of work, perhaps as many as Kubrick himself struggled to make the film, we have finally completed this set of books that is perhaps as audacious, exhaustive, and unique as Kubrick's film would have been. This is the closest anyone can get to the great mystery of Kubrick's Napoleon.
It's a book that enables the reader to maybe be able to shoot this movie.